Our next guest is Jennifer Lakey, Director of Johnson Controls Institute for Building Efficiency.
Could you just give us a brief history about the Institute for Building Efficiency and when it was founded and why Johnson Controls thought there was a need for this organization?
So the Institute for Building Efficiency is an initiative of Johnson Controls that was founded in 2010. Our goal was to bring a practitioner's view to the important social and environmental challenges of policymakers and civil society, all of whom were seeking to scale up their energy and climate solutions to provide environmental protection. And there was a role for business in that conversation, but we felt that there had not been a clear response on how energy efficiency could be scaled up and the opportunities to create global partnership activities to expand markets and help achieve social and environmental goals.
Besides the IBE, how is Johnson Controls promoting sustainability?
Well, Johnson Controls is a multi-industrial company. We're global. We work in over 130 countries around the world, and we have about 160,000 employees. And our businesses range from the building efficiency business, where the Institute for Building Efficiency sits, to our power solutions business, which is in the automotive battery business, including the advanced battery technologies like lithium-ion, and other auto interiors and seating areas. So we believe that we are a part of the sustainability equation through the products that we manufacture, through the services we provide to our clients, and in our own manufacturing and employee footprint. We support the communities and engage directly within the countries where we operate around sustainability. And it's core to our value proposition. We believe that we can be a solution provider around the sustainability challenges we face.
Is there a way that you establish benchmarks in certain industries or in certain countries, and then you share them with others?
One of the flagship analyses that we do at the IBE is called our Energy Efficiency Indicator. It's a survey that we conduct globally every year, although we actually only did a 2014 North America look so far this year. But in the Energy Efficiency Indicator, we ask those executives who are in charge of the energy purchases and strategic decisions within their organizations, and we ask them about the practices and investments that they are making, where the barriers and opportunities are for them in pursuing energy efficiency and renewable energy. And we ask about what the important drivers are for their action. And this gives us a view to some of the challenges and opportunities that are present in each market around the world. We've surveyed 10 countries in 2013 that range from Australia to China, India, France, Brazil, and Canada and the United States. So that gives us a sense of what are some of those important themes and topics in different countries.
And somewhere like China, for industry there, what is their biggest challenge? What are they saying to you that they need to be working on or that they need to invest in?
China consistently has in its top three drivers the existing government policy or anticipated government policies. If you look at other countries, for example, the United States, government policy isn't quite as significant a driver, but in China it certainly is. And clearly the other theme that emerged in the last few years is the concept of energy security. And in China, you have a whole set of questions around energy supply, reliability, and pollution. And so clearly those are all drivers that we see in the survey itself. We've also seen some shifts in the barriers. In China, we have a barrier. We find that the barriers tend to fall in 5 categories: awareness, technical expertise to assess the energy efficiency opportunities, certainty of savings, and how certain are you that you understand what the outcome will be, the ability for energy efficiency investments to pass financial hurdles, and then capital availability in order to fund those energy efficiency investments. And in a country like the United States, you see significant investment in or challenges in the financial criteria and available capital. That's over 50% of those who said that those two barriers are their most significant barriers. But in China, you see a much more distributed set of challenges with, awareness and technical expertise and the uncertainty around the savings opportunities playing a much more significant role than the financing and capital availability. Although we think that's beginning to shift. In the last year, we saw more financing challenges than we had in past years.
In China or the United States or Europe, what are the drivers for individual regions to obtain energy efficiencies?
Globally, the number one driver of energy efficiency action is energy cost savings. That is what has been and will continue to be, I believe, the top driver for investment, the opportunity around energy cost savings. Second is really around government and utility incentives. A couple of the newer trends that we've tracked in the last few years are around increased asset value. So that is the recognition by the market of the differentiated performance of a building. So that something that is Energy Star labeled in the United States or LEED labeled or BREEAM labeled, so the green certification and performance information is starting to change how a buyer or a tenant evaluates their choices. And so there is an interest in increasing the asset value through energy efficiency. And then I think the fourth trend that I would look at is around energy security and questions of energy supply, reliability, and generation options on site. And that also goes along with things like the public image of the building and the environmental footprint of that building, especially in terms of greenhouse gas emissions impacts.
Now, you mentioned some partnerships that IBE might be involved with.
We have a network of experts that we work with on an ongoing basis, and they range in their areas of expertise. So, for example, right now I'm deeply involved in a United Nations partnership that is just taking shape today, and that's called the Sustainable Energy for All initiative. It's an initiative by the Secretary General at the United Nations, and one of the goals of the Sustainable Energy for All partnership is to double the rate of energy efficiency improvement around the world. And as a business, we can look at where and how we can be partnering with organizations that are supporting the United Nations, like the United Nations Environment Program, the World Bank, and others, and how can we help and accelerate the action or activity that is going to happen in markets around the world to support the UN's goals.
The IBE obviously concentrates on buildings and larger work environments, but in generalities, how do you think the learnings that the industry is experiencing can be transferred to somebody's home environment? Is there any takeaways that I, as a homeowner, can learn from what industry is doing?
So in the consumer market, and this is not an area that IBE looks at extensively, but in the consumer market, you certainly see an awareness around energy that hasn't been there because of things that are giving you constant feedback. I was in a meeting the other day and somebody's phone pinged and said, oh, whoops, I forgot to turn off the lights. And, was being notified by their home that this was the case. So you have the opportunity, I think, to access information very differently. And that gets me to the other thing that I think is really important on the sustainability front, and that is around employee engagement. And so companies like Johnson Controls and many of the large businesses that we support in the Johnson Controls equipment and or the support we provide through facilities management services are looking at the employee as both a consumer and as an innovator. And so the ability to engage with employees around behavior through programs and incentives is also, I think, an important area where education, awareness, and behavior change can occur in support of energy efficiency. We published a report last winter around employee engagement called Driving Behavior Change. And we looked at a variety of the different opportunities for practices in the workplace that could reduce energy consumption and improve the sustainability of their work environments. We have worked with a number of organizations, and it's very popular to develop green teams that can support the activities of the employees who are most motivated to support sustainability goals for their corporations and their organizations. But we felt that it was really important to go beyond the top 10% who are motivated by sustainability and engage with the employee base as a whole. So we developed a tool called the Engagement Navigator, which we have made publicly available. And we tested it with a number of companies and institutions. And we asked the employees to evaluate different sustainability practices based on what they thought was most important and what they thought they'd be most likely to participate in. And the findings were really compelling. People wanted to take action, but they also wanted to take action on things that were understandable and easy. They looked to the company to set the broad policies, and they looked for ways to engage within their workplace on concrete activities and actions. So we looked at that because, in fact, employee behavior makes a huge difference in terms of the overall energy consumption and demand at campus level or in a building.
I also noticed in some of my research that the IBE is working in distributed energy and smart technologies. Can you describe for me what the IBE is talking about specifically in regards to distributed energy and smart technologies?
One of the major changes that I think we're seeing in the concept of energy efficiency is the need to think about a more holistic sense of the energy system. And so if you are a building, and I think this is changing in the market as well. If you're a building owner or a facility manager or you're an executive who's looking at a portfolio of buildings, one of the things that is likely to be on your radar screen is that there are new technologies that will and can influence or impact how your facility could use energy in the future. So I think that the suite of technologies that we now have on the energy side are changing the perception of the building owner from being, I just need an electrical outlet and power to come in and for me to plug in my equipment, to thinking about being both a supplier and a provider. We've seen this in some of the U.S. markets where demand response programs have taken hold. The sense that you can change the way your building performs in order to be a part of an energy system. So the technologies are an enabler for the change in management that we're likely to see over the next 20 years. We now have much better IT systems to track down to the minute or second interval what's happening in a building and what's happening with our energy generation technologies and our energy storage technologies. So the energy system of the future is very different, and energy efficiency in buildings is no longer just a question of what's the equipment standard for a heating or ventilation, air conditioning system, but it's now how does that system interact with a much bigger energy environment.
By bolstering energy efficiency standards, we'll provide substantial cost savings to businesses, governments, and households, while freeing up power for more productive uses. And this is an important part of the Sustainable Energy for All initiative, supported by the International Copper Association, its member companies, and their stakeholders.
Thank you, Steve. And a special thanks to our program guests, Jeff Jiang of Anglo American and Jennifer Lakey from the Institute for Building Efficiency. As Jennifer and Jeff have stated, investments in energy efficiency will create jobs, foster economic growth, and improve energy advancements and security for countries lacking fossil fuel resources. This podcast is part of the ICA's continuing series on the societal benefits of copper. A refresher on the societal benefits of copper and this podcast program are available on the ICA website, www.copperalliance.org. For more information on the societal benefits of copper webinars or podcasts, please contact me, Nicole Witoslawski, by email, nicole.witoslawski, WITOSLAWSKI, @copperalliance.org. I look forward to hearing your thoughts and ideas. I will also work with ICA subject matter experts to answer questions you may have about the energy efficiency standards topic in this podcast. I hope you will join us as we explore more energy efficiency and environmental subjects on the International Copper Association's Transforming the Future with Copper, a Metalmorphosis podcast series. Thanks for listening.